Now let's talk about something that's got everyone talking. Everyone that is aware of this fast developing news story. An investigative piece has been done by a Nigerian journalist about how easy it is to get certificates from outside this country in record-breaking time. In fact, it is not supposed to be humanly possible to get a degree in less than 2 months. But somehow it is possible, and he has done it, which has raised eyebrows. And beyond just raising eyebrows, it has also motivated the federal government to take drastic actions by suspending accreditation for university degrees coming from Benin Republic and Togo. Now this has once again put the spotlight on the educational system here in the country and all of the elements that continue to undermine its growth and development. And let's try to make sense of this development to underscore why conversations like this are important if we're supposed to reform the education sector for better service delivery. Joining us from Yola via phone is the chapter chairman of the Academic Staff Union of Universities at Modibo Adama University, Dr. Jibril El-Maude. Doctor, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me this morning. How is Abuja this morning?
Abuja is doing great. How is Yola?
Yola is nice too.
Right. Okay, first of all, as a lecturer, I believe educated here in Nigeria, not Cotonou, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Give us a sense of what you make of this controversy. I mean, this is not the first time we're hearing about things like this. For most people, it's an open secret. However, this new revelation has given us a different dimension to it. How easy it was for Umar Audu, the reporter in question, to get it without actually even going out of the country to the university. It was easy for him to get this certificate. Your reaction to this development?
It's a common knowledge to Nigerians that a lot of people, including our union, have made this revelation that people are going to Cotonou. People that could not make it here in Nigeria will just go to Cotonou before somebody is done. Somebody will be serving, will be doing his NYC. We call the attention of NYC, we call the attention of many Nigerians that this is very illegal. This one is undermining the capability of Nigerians and the education sector. But the government turned deaf ears and they refused to listen to us. But we thank God for the revelation made by Omar, who did that one practically and has all the papers at hand to prove beyond reasonable doubt that truly what Nigerians were saying is true. But the question is, why would somebody from Nigeria will decide not to study in Nigeria and go to abroad? It's because of 2 reasons. One, probably because you have deficiency of returning challenges of studying in Nigeria. Two, probably because of the incessant strikes that is normally bedeviled the Nigerian education sector. Now, if you look at it from both dimensions, it now boils down to the inability of the federal government or the state government to do the needful vis-a-vis funding these our universities so that our universities can be competitive. And despite the fact that our universities are not as expected, cannot be favorably competed with other universities globally, but I am too sure Nigerian university is far, far better than universities in Togo and universities in Cotonou. It's unfortunate we are having this kind of scenario when we have the resources, where we have the wherewithal, when we have the capability, the label that can do exactly what everybody can do. I'm like this. I kept saying, wherever you go in this world, you see, you find one Nigerian lecturer. If you go to Oxford, if you go to Texas, wherever you go, Cambridge, you realize that you are going to see a Nigerian who is excelling. And Nigeria who that university are proud of him, they don't want to let him go. We have other universities whereby they even make our professors here in Nigeria to be their vice chancellors because they know what they can do. But unfortunately, the government does not take education serious in Nigeria, and that's why we're having these challenges. We are going to continue to have more challenges that are dangerous than the one we revealed by this reporter. And very soon, if necessary attention and care is not taken, challenges will continue to surface, unfortunately for this country, particularly our leaders who are bringing us and forcefully drag us into this mess.
Right. Just a quick apology. We're trying to rework that graphic. I'm sure that illustration does not necessarily point at Adamawa State on the Nigerian map, as you can see on Dr. Jibril Almaude's graphic there. So while we're working on that, Doctor, just your reaction to the federal government's, swift reaction to suspend this accreditation. For most people, it is apt, but for some, it's too little too late because, like we all agreed, this is an open secret. What do you make of the federal government's reaction to suspend accreditation for degrees obtained from Cotonou and Togo, for instance?
I am commending federal government for taking this drastic action. I think it's a welcome development. It's timely. This is the right time for us to do. Not necessarily disallowing people to come with it, but also those who are using it already. They should be investigated and necessary action should be taken against them. Because you cannot go and get a degree within 6 months and become unbroken here in Nigeria. The problem is in Nigeria, once your certificate is abroad, they will give you preference than the one that you obtain in Nigeria. That's the difference we have. Thinking that whatever is a foreign product is far better than the domestic product we have. Whereas it's not like that. Majority of them, I know 1, 2, 3 people that cannot finish in our university, but before I know, they were in this department, they couldn't make it in this department, they were taking another department within the same university. They went to three different departments within our university. Couldn't make it apply. But before you know, I saw them with NYC Kaki. What are you doing? I'm serving. When did you graduate? I've graduated from Cotonou. So look at the case of Abdullahi. Somebody cannot, because of deficiency, cannot finish here in our university, but can go to Cotonou and finish. Worst of all, is that most of them do not even enter school. You just apply, you pay, and you're being given a certificate. And you come here because of the respect we have, high respect we have for foreign degrees. Somebody will just come, present, and is given a promotion compared to the other ones that are entering the country. So it's unfortunate. I commend them for taking this action, but they should also go further by investigating those people who are already working with such certificates, and necessary action should be taken against them.
All right, Dr. Jibril, I would like to also get your thoughts around what we can do holistically beyond just this pronouncement, to stamp out this kind of desires. If you recall, this is not the first time that this is coming to the show, as you have said. It's public knowledge. Sometimes in 2021, I know the NUC came up with a list of universities that they consider fake or are not recognized in Nigeria. There are quite a number of them that made the list from these two countries precisely, Benin Republic and Togo. And at that time, they revealed that Nigerians were also picking up PhDs in a record 6 months, as against 4 years or thereabout, at minimum that you will spend in Nigeria. What can we do, to permanently take care of this problem? Because you have mentioned one, that there are mostly students who can survive in Nigeria. But if you take a closer look, you would see clearly that this is a criminal act and perpetuated by Nigerians, who go across the border, set up this institution, get accreditation from the host country, only to begin to return this kind of menace to the country. What kind of solutions are there? Is this something we can do on our own, or we have to find a way to partner with these countries to be able to deal with this?
This is a very simple case. Government should do the needful by making sure that our universities are working. Our universities should be competing with any other universities. I sometimes appreciate the effort made by our TED Fund by saying that there are some certain courses that whatever you want to do, whether it's master's, whether it's first degree or the PhD that you want to do, you are going to do them here in Nigeria. But it's only those universities, those programs that you are doing that we don't have experts that can handle that one in PhD level or at MSc level, that one they can sponsor to go and abroad. And it's very good. It's a good idea. But the problem is, how the government improve our universities to the extent that somebody who finished MSc in Nigeria can favorably compete with somebody who has or MSc in England? The question is no. The wherewithal are not there. The resources are not there. Lecturers are not happy. Students are not happy. The universities are not working. Things are not working. There's no way you can stop. Once this thing is addressed, believe you me, a lot of nonsense will stop, because this one is a global embarrassment on the education sector, meaning a colossal insult on all of us as Nigerians, that we allow someone that will go there and do. And federal government should investigate who are the real owners of such universities. If they are Nigerians who got through group approach, got these universities affiliated, let's say action should be taken on them, and such universities should be cancelled forever.
All right. What do you say about what appears to be a very potent collaborations with our own officials in Nigeria? The accreditations are done in Nigeria. Most culpable in this would be, of course, the same Ministry of Education and the Foreign Affairs Ministry that sort of validates these results before they are mobilized for NYSC. What should we do with their culpability as far as these issues are concerned?
Collaborations are done globally. Collaborations are allowed globally. But the issue here is that what kinds of collaboration is being done in this regard? Let's go have the Nigerian, the NEC, or whoever has hand in it, have they visited such universities to see the instruments they have, the buildings they have, the structures they have, the lecturers they have? Have they asked questions from that government, the government of that country, what such universities are being started, what are their measures, what are the necessary issues they take? All these ones are already being done. You know, Nigeria, once you have your money, you can have your way, and that's all. Because all it's not about giving students qualitative education is their prime concern. Their prime concern, how are they going to make money? And because they know in Nigeria, once you have a foreign certificate, then you are going to have money. So people are willing to go there, get their certificate, come here. So as I said earlier, when I was answering Abdullahi, that it's not about stopping people from bringing such certificates. Or even if you have, the NYC certificate that you have should be confiscated from your hand as well as the result. So that you can go back and follow the normal process of obtaining valid certificate, valid result. Then you can go and serve if you still have the years ahead of you. Otherwise, you can necessary action should be taken. So we are not encouraging that one. We are going to stop all necessary action. In fact, federal government should also investigate who are those people who are giving accreditation within NRC. Who are those people who gave those foreign Cotonou university accreditation? What procedure have they followed? If they are found wanting, also necessary action should also be taken on them, so that all of us will be ready to do the necessary thing in Nigeria.
Right, and in talking about the nature of this challenge, for instance, let's talk about what many see is perhaps emblematic of a bigger problem, and that is this lack of standardization that for the most part, a lot of people see some of these students over the time pass come back in record time, and that is motivation enough because on the one hand, you have your union, ASU, always on a disruptive strike action that makes the educational pursuit of most Nigerian students unbearable for the most part. And then there's also the issue of what do we do about others who are legitimately going about their studies in those same countries, because we're not running with the assumption that all the universities operate in this particular manner. How do we square this circle so much so that we are not scapegoating Benin Republic and Togo?
You see, our union understood very well that our universities are not working as expected to work. We are producing graduates that we cannot be proud of, simply because the resources needed to provide important knowledge needed are not being provided by the owners of these universities. And nobody is talking about that. But because of the law we have for this country, we took the challenge. Sometimes I all know, federal government will stop our salary for 8 months, simply because we want this university working. So it's not about, we are still maintaining our position of life. But if there's need for us to go on strike tomorrow, we'll go on strike again. With the view to see that we are making government to provide enough funds for these universities, so that you can graduate a product, and that you can raise their shoulders up that this product can be productive, this product can be sellable, this product can be employable wherever he goes around this world. It has been done in the past. We still have the men that can do that here now. So what you are saying, let us do that one. So I'm like, nobody should see us as any challenge. I went to university in Nigeria. There were series of strikes during my time. I've graduated. I'm like, the strike is meant to ask government, please government, put money in this university so that our university should also work effectively. So nobody should see us as a hindrance for its graduation. It's not about that one. We don't want to be graduating people who cannot even write their name. People, if somebody will have a class, what's for class offer, come and write an application letter, I'm like, you cannot write. Simply because he just passed through universities and that he do not get what he's supposed to obtain while at the university. That's number one. Yeah. Number two, I'm like, on the issue of universities that are of standard, that one, it's okay, we don't have problem. Once you have gone to the universities that are okay, that have standards, it's not a fake, it's not a 6 months BSc or 1 year BSc. It's okay, I'm like that, we don't have problem with that one. In Nigeria, we also have 3 years program. If you go through a DE, if you have only 4 years program. So if you have something like that, even if it's 2 years in their own, maybe 2 years, maybe they say if you have your diploma, it's 2 years. If that is a standard in Cotonou, let it be. Our concern is this one that Omar reported. There are many of them, and I know, like I said, I know one that couldn't make it at our university, but came back with a good result and sat here and is now one of the person who is working in Nigeria. So people like this one, I think they are making big embarrassment on our heads.
All right, Doctor, there are 2 other questions I would like you to attend to. First of all, I'd like to gauge your perspective on whether you think this ban should be limited to just Togo and Benin Republic. We are surrounded by a number of countries where people keep showing up with certificates and you cannot gauge the level of standardization. So should we see more countries? We have seen results from Uganda, we have seen from Namibia, we have seen from Cameroon.
The ban should be extended to all universities globally. We have fake universities in Malaysia. What I mean fake, highly low-ranked universities.
Yeah.
Low-ranked universities. So it's not about Cotonou. Globally, wherever Nigerians are going to study, once that university is not of standard university, should be banned.
All right. The second leg. Yes, the second leg to that would be the presumption that all that is below standard is something outside Nigeria. We have also seen mushroom universities in Nigeria, and I'm sure that incidences like this happen where you can walk in with a bag of money and they could just give you a certificate and of course mobilize you because they are situated here. What do we do about the avalanche of universities that appear to be glorified secondary school, if you like, that have littered all of our cities around in the bid, you know, to multiply private universities in Nigeria? What do we do about our own in-house cleaning so that what we reject from outside do not find fit in this country? That's one leg of the question. The second leg is there something we can do, as we have seen with some of the advanced clients, where if you are coming into their country with a certificate that is outside what they have issued, you go through some kind of certification. So it's not enough for you to have graduated from a university. There should be some certification in that your line of profession that sort of certify that whatever you are holding is at par with whatever their local universities produce. What can we do, you know, to put up systems that would average out what should be the minimum standards for you to practice in a country?
Thank you very much. Like the first question, I agree with you 100%. We have mushroom universities in Nigeria, and people know about them, and people are patronizing them. This one, the whole blame should go to NEC. NEC is the person recognized by the Constitution that you should be giving accreditation to these universities. How could, for the sake of God, for goodness sake, that NEC will give a Muslim university that have only one building? One building, simply because the owner of the university is connected and his university will be accredited. I think this thing should be stopped. I appreciate, as I said, I commend the effort of this, the Ministry of Education around. But let's be by benchmark now. We are started. We are going to continue that one. Not that the one we start shouting, and after a year, after 1 week or two, it will just down, and nobody hear about it. Mushroom universities, we know all of them. They are mostly private universities. They should all be cancelled. We have enough universities in this country. And unfortunately, because of this democracy, like before Buhari left, almost 50 universities, newly private universities were approved. And if you go to them, all of them do not have these needed facilities. So it's unfortunate. Things like this should be cancelled. All Muslim universities should be cancelled. But the question is, if you kill all the Muslim universities, where would they go? When the universities that have Muslim universities, the federal and the state that we have, and the federal one, are not up to standards. They are lacking in all ramifications. It's unfortunate. So even if you want to address this issue, then the government should be grateful. Parents of universities should give enough money to these universities. You cannot have universities that you cannot adequately fund, and you will not be creating new ones. It's unfortunate. That's number one. Number two, it's true. I don't want to even say we should allow people to go to universities that are below standards. Let alone spending more money again and giving them another training. No. If you want to go to school, please go to school. If you don't have the ability to go to school in terms of efficiency, please do not go to universities. Do not go to school. Go to where you think you can get something and eat. It's not a must for everybody to go to university. If you have the ability, particularly the mental ability, you can go to university. You can get scholarship. You can go to if you want to go to university, go. But if you don't want to go, please don't go. We don't want to open another avenue whereby our money, our national state will be spent in giving the certificate again. That's only for that. Please, if you want to go there. Universities are being accredited by our NEC so that you know you are going to school. We don't have any much problem on that. Okay. That's my take on that.
Speaking to one of the vice chancellors of the record, and his take is that for so long, they've been voicing out this particular concern to the authorities at the higher level to no avail, but also that in his university he has taken a position to not employ certain degree holders from certain universities. In terms of employability, do you see us putting the standardization in that manner, especially at the government level, that if your degrees or PhDs or doctorate are from ABC universities or ABC countries whose standards we cannot verify or whose standards are not aligned with our own priorities, we're not going to employ? Do you think that in itself is going to discourage people from pursuing those easy to get degrees?
I appreciate the courage of that vice chancellor, but the question is, would that vice chancellor have that power to implement that policy that he had? By the time a particular governor, by the time a particular senator or a member of House of Representatives send his candidate from that university, can he have the courage to say, we are not packing him? It's going to be hard for you, Abdullahi. It's going to be hard. Politicians are the one most of them are the one who are sending their words to this university, for instance, and they're the one that will come now. If you come, Abdullahi, go and check. Most of people are working in good places, highly placed institutions in Nigeria. You see them with these universities, and they are connected. And hardly can you see a former child sending his own child, a former child, going to that university. You have to consider that one. So it's happening for the vice chancellor to say, I am not going to employ you. It's not going to be hard for him. It's not going to be hard. But if he's going to do like that one, I think it's a good intention, and I will approach him to do that. But it's going to be very, very hard. Anyone that you want to employ in Nigeria today, if you want to be recruited, that's something that you have to recruit, you have to go to Abuja. And anywhere you go to Abuja, already they have their own candidates that they want you to give. For them to give you 10 slots, they will give another slot so that you are going to employ. And the person they are going to give you, it does not matter whether he has requisite knowledge or he has the certificate. Once it is their candidate, there's nothing you can do. So that vice chancellor is going to be hard for him, except if all the vice chancellors, we are going to have a guidance policy that says people that have this kind of universities are no longer interested in, are not going to be employed in Nigeria. It's going to work. For instance, how many can you see somebody with a class for 2-2 teaching because it's a general policy, it's first class and 2-1. So if they can make that one a standard base, whereby once you have degree for a particular university, you are not going to be employed. Otherwise, if it's not written, if it's not being gazetted, it's going to be hard for that person to implement that intention.
All right. The Ministry of Education had told us clearly that they had set up a committee interministerial committee it is, that would investigate some of the findings of the journalists. But we are also very good, as you know, with setting up committees, the outcome of which most of us do not know, or even the implementations as the case may be. We just come up with something to respond to the public outcry around that revelation. What do you think, in very concrete steps, we need to take beyond just announcing that committees have been set up and punishments according to civil service rules will be meted out to government officials who are found guilty? What measures, concrete measures, do you think as a nation we need to put in place to check what is going on?
No matter how scientific and technical is the outcome of the report of that committee, if it's not in line with what government wanted, it's not going to see the light of the day. I give you a typical example of what happened to us during our 8-month strike last year. Federal government set up a committee under Professor DAYBREAK. We finished everything with them, spent months with them, spending our resources with them. We have arrived at a particular position. Government outrightly rejected the position. After that one, government also formed another committee under DAYBREAK committee. We went through the same rigorous process, wasting our resources, wasting our time. At the end of the day, government refused to look at that one. So Nigeria, if the outcome of this investigation find out that majority of the countries are well created, you will not hear anything about that report of that committee. We are good in doing that. We are good in doing this in the country. So it's going to be just if that's not taking. It's going to be waste of resources, waste of time. You will not hear about the report of the committee. How many committees that we have in the past that government refused to listen to this? Nigerians will be crying, please implement, and the federal government will not be willing to implement. Especially the people who are found to be culprits are people who are just normal people, ordinary people in Nigeria. Then probably the implementation is going to be on them. But if they are highly corrupted, how can you hear anything on that committee?
Sadly, what you're saying is what many Nigerians can relate to about the inability of the federal government in most cases to be committed towards a solution-driven approach. And we've seen the education sector take the brunt of some of these inadequacies, especially in terms of funding. We're just talking about the allocations for the 2024 budget and how underfunded, grossly underfunded the education sector as well as the healthcare sector has been for yet another fiscal year. But we're going to have to leave the conversation here for now, Dr. Jibril. Thank you very much, as always, for being readily available to share your insights on some of the developments within the sector. Really appreciate you very much for joining us on Daybreak this morning. Right, we've been speaking to Dr. Jibril El-Maude, a lecturer at Modibo Adama University in Yola. He's also the ASU chairman of Modibo Adama University chapter, speaking to us about that bombshell revelation by a journalist of Daily Nigeria who exposed the certificate racketeering involving one of the universities in Cotonou in Benin Republic. I think it's ESG. Yeah, I took out time sometimes in 2018, 2019 to visit. It was one of those long public holidays that would come in addition to the weekends, I guess. And I was bored. And it just occurred to me that I could jump into Cotonou and try to see stuff for myself. So I went into Port Novo, where you have most of these universities located. The Daily Trust structure, if you have any idea, can house 3 of those universities that I saw. Right. Yes. You're talking about headquarters here? Yes. I went right into the structures. I saw that they were run by Nigerians. The principals are Nigerians. Most of the academic staffs are Nigerians, and most of the students, of course, are also Nigerians. They live around that vicinity. Explains the whole racketeering thing. Basically, that's what's going on there. There's nothing more to it. I saw quite a number of them. They didn't feel like if they come up with very big names, and you know what they have done is to set up get the local accreditations of those sovereign nations, and set up affiliates in Nigeria where they feel they can get huge patronage at what you call a very discounted rate, and push out these universities as much as possible. If this government is serious
and wants to do an audit of the number of persons in the civil service that had come in, you presented this result, it will be alarming how much of these numbers.
Especially if people looking to get ahead in the civil service,
absolutely.
for instance.
I mean, this has been further celebrated by people in the Nollywood industry. The number of them have picked up PhDs from those places. They have to drive with
so many of our politicians
have also done
their doctorate there, and you just find yourself calling somebody doctor when you know for sure
he didn't go through any
he didn't earn it.
No,
I mean, he bought it, but we know that that's not the way it's supposed to work. And all these cutting corners, it's something that has come to symbolize our society, sadly.
Very sad.
But also, it has grave dangers. Imagine people with 2-3 degrees that are not employable.
And you know what's also interesting? That you can pay with the naira.
Right.
Yeah. You will be shocked. It's just an extension of the Nigerian.
Listen to Omar. He said, listen, he did everything right here in Nigeria. He didn't even have to go to Benin Republic. He did everything right here, and after 6 weeks, he got his result. They sent it to him. He said it's like ordering food on an app.
That's right.
You're ordering a university degree, online.
That's it.
You're not even going to study. You're just getting the certificate.
Yeah.
And we all know how our society loves certificates. It's never about how intelligent or how productive you are. It's almost how many certificates. What is your certificate about? Is it a degree? Is it a PhD? Is it a doctorate? And sadly, this is where we find ourselves. And hopefully, this will not be yet another mediocre approach towards addressing this problem. Because, like we've stated over and over, it is an open secret. This is not necessarily a bombshell revelation, even though it tells us another dimension to this particular story. But of course, it remains to be seen what more needs to be done. I hear that the ICPC is also interested in this certificate racketeering case, and it will be interesting to see how some of these developments unfold in the next few weeks and months to see and gauge the commitment of the government towards addressing and sanitizing the system. We'll take a quick break. Daybreak returns after this. Join us again.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, it's Daybreak on Trust Television. It's that point where we bring you all the stories that made it to the front page of select national newspapers this morning. We'll begin with the Daily Trust. And the Daily Trust is staying with the story around the developments in Plateau. North Central governors to FG. Identify root cause of Plateau killings for lasting peace. I mean, are we in doubt about what the root causes are?
Yeah.
Not sure.
Yet again, people just saying things because they need to say something. But, it's an open secret.
Doesn't feel like we are in any doubt what these root causes are. NBA decries intelligence failure, asks Tinubu to prioritize security. Pandef, Afenifere Ohanizi, MBF seek ends to killings in the north. I think, if you ask me, in the country in general. 19 vigilantes, several bandits killed in Kaduna, 12 gunned down as Boko Haram attacks Chibok again. You'll find these stories on pages 4 and 28. And of course, you have pictures there from the visit to Plateau from the Niger State Governor Mohamed Umar Bagu, and the Nasarawa State counterparts Abdullahi Sule, as well as Governor Caleb Mafag and his Benue State counterpart Hyacinth Alia on the North Central Governors Forum's visit to Plateau yesterday. Two other stories: FG suspends accreditation of degree certificates from Benin and Togo. And the question really is, what has happened to the ones that had been accredited, knowing fully well how they were procured? NARCON extends payments for 2024 Hajj to 31st January. I mean, 30 days, where would you find 4.5 million?
People don't have the money in NARCON. People cannot afford it. Well, and I think, frankly, it's Hajj, as important as it is as a pillar in Islam, you're supposed to only go when you can actually afford it. And I see a lot of people breaking, their backs, in light of the whole economic situation, to try to afford it. But listen, if we can't find an easier, cheaper way to go there, maybe it's for a good reason.
That's right.
There's always an opportunity next time if you're alive to go ahead and do it.
And directly below the nameplate, we have Kano governor denies exchanging blows, sacking SSG. For the sake of.
But he has been silent.
Yeah.
The last time at the hearing, he wasn't there at the Supreme Court, and he's someone who's always visible. I think the first time the tribunal delivered their judgment, he was at the sitting, and he's also a very vocal part of the administration. So for him to be, you know, silent over the past couple of weeks, I think it tells you a story. Whether there's a confrontation or not, I don't know.
Time will tell. To other stories, National Assembly budget of 344 billion higher than 15 federal universities. And Tudimbiri, 1 month after, residents await compensation and outcome of committee report. To the second biggest lead on the front page of the Daily Trust, 37 billion fraud ex-minister Sadia faces EFCC today. Suspended NSIPA boss loyalist finger minister as Edu associates kick and EFCC mom on field after raid.
Okay, let's turn our attention now to the front page of the Punch newspaper for today. It starts with that bombshell story from Daily Nigerian. Fake degrees, federal government shuts 18 foreign university campuses. Okay, the campuses now.
I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah, be interesting to read what that story is about. Their campuses in Nigeria.
In Nigeria, I guess.
Yeah, well, if that is the case, that is a more direct, approach towards addressing this issue, because from basically what we've been hearing over the past 24 hours is, suspending accreditation for some of these degrees. But the Punch is reporting that the federal government has banned 18 foreign universities operating in Nigeria. Okay, so this is just a little bit of a detail, describing them as degree mills, warning Nigerians to avoid enrolling in such institutions. Now, the directive affected 5 universities from the United States, 6 from the United Kingdom, and 3 Ghanaian tertiary institutions. So none of them actually even from Benin or Togo. Or rather, it says also the Federal Ministry of Education on Tuesday announced a temporary suspension of evaluation and accreditation of degree certificates from the Republic of Benin and Togo. Very interesting.
Indeed.
Universities from the United States, 6 from the United Kingdom, and 3 from Ghana. And these are usually your top destinations.
Yes, go-to
the
places.
US and the UK. It used to be Malaysia at some point, but a lot of people have graduated from that. But anyway, moving on to some other stories. Beneficiaries protest as banks begin COVID-19 loan recovery. Exactly why are they protesting?
It was a loan.
Telling people it's not free money.
It was a new grant.
Manna was not falling from heaven, not at this day and age anyway. So it wasn't free money, and I think it goes without saying that it's time to collect. CBN has bars crypto bank account operators from cash withdrawal. What is this about? Crypto has just had a very good week. I understand, for the first time in a very long time.
There were some kind of approvals.
Just regularized.
They came up with some. They came up with some protocols on how this account can be operated, and I think they are still fine tuning it. They now understand that there's so much going on in that space, and you can't shut it out completely. You just have to find a way to put regulations around around that ring. We, as the process evolves, I'm sure we'll get clarity around those operations.
When it comes to the financial sector, you can't hate what you don't understand, and I think the CBN is trying to understand how best to leverage.
And this is all in a bid to curtail illicit financial flows. You want to, even with your regular transfers, regular forex transfers, you get what do you call it? You get calls from the Foreign Operations Department of the banks to try to understand where those funds are coming from, what they are supposed to be before they release them to your account. This is happening in a good way, if you like. If we have this kind of checks, perhaps we can check some of those illicit fund transfers.
The big story is talking about developments in the oil sector. NNPCL marketers clash over subsidy. Operators peg petrol at 1,200 naira per litre. You want to push Nigerians over the edge? Make this happen. And
this would just lead to
definitely
Nigerians occupying the State House completely.
This
is an obliteration.
Not hoping for the worst, but definitely
complete
I don't
obliteration.
see Nigerians accepting this way in any way, shape, or form. Marketers oppose federal government on subsidy. NNPCL says fuel importation costs now fully recovered. Sometimes you just hear the NNPCL speak and you're caught in between two minds. Do you believe what they're saying? I mean, do you have reservations? Because you have all these organizations that are doubting all the data you're getting from the NNPCL. But it remains to be seen what we can make of that now. Dealers insist on 1,200 naira per litre. 112 oil theft cases recorded in 1 week. You've been to the Port Harcourt refinery during that tour. We know that we have to manage our expectations regarding any sort of output. But did that visit inspire you to think that we're on the right course?
Well, yes, in some way, because if you've been there and you understand the size of investment that we have allowed to go latent for a while, you understand why that has to come back on board very quickly. But it would not be at full scale capacity. They were talking about 50,000 metric tons per day, but that in itself
it's something.
It's something. If you think about the south, what it can do to the southeast and southwest in terms of supply and wetting the operations around those places. And if we could do something with the Watersmith private refinery in Edo and the Dangote refinery, somehow we would have taken off about 60 to 80% of our import bills, and that can be channeled to something else, especially at the time that we are scrambling for forex.
For forex, exactly. Back to the front page. That horrific picture is from Japan, the Haneda airport, where yesterday a passenger plane as well as a cargo plane collided on the runway, leading to the death of 5 people aboard the cargo plane, even though all the other passengers were evacuated. But it says 5 die in Japanese aircraft collision as earthquake kills 50. And it's just a very sad
story.
It's just delivering aid to those flashpoints with the earthquake recently, and this happened. But also quite commendable, the emergency response time.
That's right.
And finally, Governor Sanwo-Olu on traffic duty yesterday as he apprehends a soldier who is on the wrong side of the law alongside others. Listen.
It was the infantry for me.
Saying you're a soldier when you've clearly done something wrong is not going to give you immunity, because we're all equal in the eyes of the law. And I think it provoked the governor. He said more reason why we should make an example out of you. But also on the flip side, he got to ride in the very classy SUV.
But one part that was debating for me was actually the choice of words by the governor. I'm waiting for your father. The father is a Nigerian, probably one innocent man who is doing everything right. But the son has
said that to the soldier?
Yes, I'm waiting for your father or whoever you are going to call. That's not necessary. That is. I
think it's the Lagos boy in him that took over.
He wanted to meet the talk, right?
Right. Exactly.
All right, we move on to the Guardian newspaper, and that will be the last paper for review this morning before we take perspectives from an in-house analyst. The Guardian, of course, marking 40 years of robust journalism in Nigeria. And the lead story there, despite 20 million out-of-school children, 29 states fail to access 68 billion universal basic education fund.
That's why
this is?
It's all mediocre. Most of them don't want to access it because they don't want to release the counterpart funding.
In place to actually curtail this menace. So you understand why those numbers continue to grow, and largely because the states are expected to put out a matching fund before they get the counterpart funding, and they are not prepared to do that at all. The infographics there suggest that only 7 states lodged about 10.6 billion counterpart funds. 7 out of 36. We have 29 states that are lagging behind in this regard. Unassessed matching grants from 36 states and the FCT stood at 68.7 billion. Idle funds, trapping interest in the banks rather than adding values in our streets. And to other breakdown there, DAYBREAK matching grants, which state can only access through payments of 50% counterpart fund, is to upgrade facilities and provide basic needs in primary schools, as well as training and retraining of teachers, among others, to boost enrollment and retention in schools. We have to stop paying lip service.
It's all lip service to me, Sunday, because the monies are there. They're just not committed.
They are not.
Why?
Absolutely
and I think
not.
it's obvious. They are not their wards. They don't feel a sense of responsibility.
They want grants that are not tied to anything, so they can deploy them however they want. Yes. And then moving on to other stories, FG SAC NSIP boss suspends certificates from Benin, Togo universities. And confusion as telcos alert subscribers of NIN SIM link irregularities. Is there really a confusion? I think there had been some announcements that these numbers will be taken down. I got a notification on one of my lines as well, so I'm not sure it came as a surprise to most Nigerians. Divided house, discordant tones over validity of minority decision. And capital importation drops by 36% to $654 million in Q3 2023. And finally, FG Direct MDA is to remit 100% of generated revenue. So self-funding NDAs, how do they expect them to operate? And we also hear that the federal government has opened another central account different from the single treasury account. Whatever they want to do, I'm not sure.
I can't wait for Nigerians to really clearly see what the plan is for the Tinubu administration. You know, I think maybe a couple of months, when they're about to cross that 1 year mark, then we can begin to make sense. I think they're still enjoying the benefit of doubt right now to see what they're actually trying to do with all the reforms that they're coming up with.
All right. We now have joining us in the studio, regular in-house analyst, if you like.
Is he still regular? Last week, we felt abandoned.
So that escaped us.
Yeah.
That escaped us. He took his Christmas out of town, took the chickens out of town, and left us abandoned. Nonetheless, we welcome you back, and we thank you for finding time to be here. I'm talking about none other than the former director of news, the voice of Nigeria, Mr. Ben Shaman. It's a pleasure to have you in the studio.
Mr. Ben, compliments of the season.
And Happy New Year to the two of you.
I thought you would have walked in with your chicken.
Yeah, you see, let's go to the beginning. When you said I abandoned you, around this time, I was in my village in Bondon. We got hooked to the studio. I kept waiting. I was listening to all of you.
Okay. I think the network was on Christmas holiday also.
You know?
Probably.
So I didn't abandon you, but I think that you people abandoned me maybe from here to Kafanchan. You stopped there. You didn't cross over to Manchok or Kaguru.
Maybe that's what happened. Good to see you again in the new year.
Thank you.
I hope it's been good so far.
So far, so good. And I got a second grandchild. So
congratulations.
I was laughing all through.
Yeah.
I was thinking that on your way back.
I could also see that those who gave birth were the ones celebrating my birthday and giving me some. Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you, my children.
All right. Welcome back. I would not forget that you didn't come back with those roasters from Manye Kuruba. That would be a conversation from another day. Looking at the list story from the Daily Trust, talking about North Central governors visiting their counterpart in Jos, and from other papers, you understand they made a donation of about 100 million. But have we not had enough of this charging the federal government, speaking to the federal government? One would think that because these are contagious states, they should be working on something that harnesses forces around these states in a bid to curtail this problem, rather than just a solidarity visit to one of them. What do you make of the governor's visit to Mafwag?
Yeah, I think it's good omen for Nigeria. Why am I saying so? You see, when the accidental bombing of Ran in Borno State took place, I mean, we couldn't see any visitation as at that time. But when we had to Dumberi, you could see many Nigerians of note going to those places and saying these rural settlements certainly need government presence. Now here we are in Plateau. We can now see that, yes, government officials, individuals, influential people are also going to these areas. In other words, an injury to one is an injury to all. But you see, it goes beyond all of this. What should be done? Very, very clear. Truly, those days when there were crises of various dimensions in Kaduna State, talking of when there was this beauty pageant crisis, Sharia crisis. Yeah, you could see exactly. What did Governor Ahmed Makarfi do? He decided to engage the youths. How did he do it? Just get a portion of land, form yourselves into some committees. He gave them loans, and tractors were there, farming for them. They were engaged. You know, now why don't we begin to replicate some of these things on the plateau? Look, get this tribe, get this religion, get them. Don't give one group, and engage them. If you check many of these things that have been done, I think, in my best opinion, it's always by the youths.
Yeah, but what do you make of the rhetoric behind it? The governor was quite categorical about this not being a farmer-herder clashes, or a violent clash that is common with the farmer, pastoralists and farming communities, as you have in so many other states in this country. What do you make of the coloration of this particular killing that happened during the Christmas period on such a wide scale? If it's not something about resources, as the governor is alluding to, something a lot more evil or diabolical, how do you arrest this one?
Yeah, you see, the governor is there. He probably has some superior information. But you see, if you're talking of plateau, I mean, there have always been crises on that plateau. It's been there, even during the military rule. I remember I was the State House correspondent. There was a crisis. Abacha went there, we went there. So it's not new. But what is new is the frequency in which these things are happening. And we expect that when you see politicians of note who will always have some kind of vanguards, people who believe in them, there should be a way of also talking to all the camps. If we begin to have some labeling, a kind of labeling, it's that group and it's because of this and that, enough of the talking. Let us begin to do some things that are workable. When people are talking of community policing, let us still have this. It's not just enough for government to gather, governors to gather, we sympathize, take this amount. After all, in terms of sharing that money, is it everybody that will get? Some people will still smile to the bank because some people are dead. But we want a situation whereby this state police, very, very vital, very, very critical. I don't know what is still hindering this matter. If you have all of these, I tell you, even in the local government, every community, every tribe, every religion, they all belong. You send them on the same duty. The scouts are all over the place. And before you know it, if there is any inkling, there is, it's clear that something is likely to happen, you begin to take precautions. I think if that is done, it will be better.
There are those who would express concern about these governors and some of their tendencies, having complete control over a mobile force. And what they can do, when you listen to some of the rhetorics that are coming out of the mouths of this governor, it then means that if they are convinced in their hearts that some persons are the enemy, they can just basically deploy the security to take them out rather than find, non-kinetic solutions.
I think it goes beyond that. If you have a local government, you have state government, you have federal. In the same manner, you begin to have some of these security agencies. There's no way you just wake up and do deployment alone. You have to have a way of getting in concert. You work in concert with the Nigerian police force, so that the excesses of a governor, not the way they control the local government funds or the state assemblies. No, in terms of security, there has to be a kind of synergy. They must work together, and it makes it better. I think it's workable.
But
we
also,
can't fear the governors.
Do you think developments like this should fast track the conversation around state policing? Because we keep hearing the same arguments over and over. Listen, I might be the chief security officer of the state, but I don't have some level of control over deployment of some of these instruments that we have available, making it a lot more complicated for them to respond in time to save lives and properties.
Yeah, you see, there is this Palian, I mean, it's a police, or he was a police officer in Britain then. So look, the best police situation in a community is when police stations don't have any suspect under detention. That is the best policing when we are talking of policing a community. In other words, the police should be preventing the crimes instead of reacting, arresting and keeping. Look at many police stations in Nigeria, abandoned vehicles, abandoned this, abandoned that. That is not a garage where you make where you repair cars. So what am I trying to say? In as much as we have the governors who indeed will employ these youths and everyone is engaged, you see that the police themselves will have less jobs to do. But a situation where they are left to just loiter around, move here, cause mayhem here and there, of course, the governors will have to know that they have to create employment. And how do you do this? Can we start with agri? If the industries are not coming, if the electricity is not there, I mean, do we need electricity to now farm now? You check many areas where we can go into real dry season farming, but we are not doing it. And so, if we do that, I think that will arrest some of these things, and police will have less jobs to do. We will have these cases of even Boko Haram. Why did Boko Haram start? You begin to listen to their stories. They say because government has failed everybody. It fails them.
Okay. In the case of Boko Haram, I think it's also instrumental to add that the people they are attacking are also part of those who are suffering from the government failure. So it's not enough for you to take out
see, some of them, when they do it, it's either to embarrass the government, to cause mayhem, to a kind of, you target what you call soft targets, so that you call attention. That, so I don't they do all of that so that a kind of to show they are still around. So it's for government to now go that they must be the domineering factor, they must be the aggressor and not the respondent to crisis.
All right. You are sounding there like a seasoned defense correspondent that you were, and I understand some of the things you are speaking to. But let us move on to some of the stories that made the front page of other papers. The Guardian this morning is reporting something that is very dear to our heart. We've been talking about the number of out-of-school children, and it's important we also drill down to the possible causes. Here, the Guardian says 29 states failed to access 68 billion universal basic education fund, and basically because they are unwilling to put forward their matching funds. What do you make of this report? There have been 7 states, that have been able to put forward 10-point-something billion so far, in the last couple of years. And because the other states are unwilling to put out these matching funds, we have about 70 billion lying latent in the vaults of the bank.
You see, the future, therefore, I don't want to sound pessimistic.
But it is what
I want to have a hopeful Nigeria. But when you leave these youths this way, because this is the very basic foundation. If you are supposed to, there's money on ground, A. Now you bring B, 50, it becomes 100. The money is just there, just bring yours and there you are. You have it nice. What was happening, yes, let me come in. What was happening then was, sometimes even grants from abroad, when they come in terms of assisting in the field of education, Now the money will just come directly. What was budgeted for, you now take that of the grant from abroad and use as if it came from the budget. Now there was a change. The change was, okay, I drop this money, you bring your own before we can now so that we work together. But today you can see the out of school syndrome is increasing. Money is lying down fallow. In the end, what I think that some people should be sanctioned. And like was it Abdullah who said, this money is kept in the bank. The banks are busy getting interest, and some guys are just enjoying that money at the expense of the nation. We are not getting the best for the children.
When you talk
and at
about
the end,
sanction,
there might be recruits for mayhem in the future.
When you talk about sanction, I was wondering how we are going to apply that, because these are within the prerogative of state government, to utilize. What is difficult? What do we need to do? Is it about advocacy? Or what's difficult in the state government saying, this is my vision for reforms around primary and secondary school, and I can get extra funding if I can just make this available and do the right thing? How is that so difficult for governors to comprehend?
It's difficult based on who is advising who. It's difficult based on what some governors will say it's not a priority. And some people will say it's for me to do rural roads. That is my priority. Some will say it's health. Some will just say, oh, security, security. And what is this security all about? When indeed you are refusing to have what do you call the state police that can assist the community. So if you allow this, I mean, why should money just be there fallow? Nobody's being sound. What about the commissioners? And sometimes if you go to the states, there are all sorts of commissions in terms of this education. Is it that at the state level, what do you call the education council, from Commissioner Pamsek and down to everybody, are they incapable of advising the governor? If you have political advisor, why don't you have an advisor on education so that you open the governor's eyes? And sometimes even these political appointees, yes, you have an appointment, you cannot even see his excellency, so to speak, and you can't even advise him, so to we also expect that those who are doing advocacy, truly it should be so aggressive. It's good that the Guardian has brought this story, and we expect even at the Federal Executive Council meeting, if there is a way they can also, bring it to bear. You have the National Education Council led by the Minister of Education, all commissioners of education. Why should this money be lying down fallow? Nobody is using it.
Listen, the states, I'm sure they will come up with their own excuses, but we all know that at the end of the day, it's a lack of political will to do the right thing. Because at some point in time, you realize you can drag the horse to the river, but you can't force it to drink. If the monies are there, all that is left is to use the matching grant to access it. I don't think there's anything more to say, in that particular regard.
Well, Abdullah, yes, just to come in. Many of these governors, coming from a rural background, most of them enjoyed scholarship, one way or the other. But now you are on ground. You don't want what is good for you to be applied to your neighbor. But I again ask them, where are their children? This counterpart funding, I tell you, it's mostly going to affect the rural areas if it is done. But, you just sit down, fold your arms, as if everything is okay.
We're just going to sound like a broken record, because it's well established that they're not committed to doing the right thing, even when the monies are just there, waiting to be deployed to address some of these issues. But staying with the education sector, before we run out of time, one of the stories that has grabbed the attention of Nigerians is that revelation by fine work that a young journalist has done to show how easy it is to get a certificate, a degree certificate for that matter, from one of these universities outside the shores of this country, and also get the accreditation necessary to serve as a core member in this country. First of all, your thoughts on that reporting and the situation that it has highlighted in the gaps that exist within the system and the federal government's reaction.
I think that journalist did a nice job. It's just like, is it Hannah's in Ghana? who always pretend to be a madman. You see, when this,
I mean, Anas is, riskier, but
you know,
I understand, yeah.
Honestly. So for this guy to go unearth this, I think it's a kind of, people should not condemn that journalist. They should rather see what he has written as being nationalistic. Because a situation where somebody will go to Cotonou, Benin, and
in his case, he didn't even have to go. He just basically ordered the certificate from here.
Yes, NUC was reacting. I'm just trying to bring another angle to it. That some people went and did nothing in 6 months. Now, you see, if it is a craft, a kind of mechanical work, or painting, tiling, and all that stuff, welding, if I say, take this and do, I'll be looking and I see that you've done a nice job. But when you're talking of nursing, that you're now going to be employed and released or unleashed into one hospital, see a nursing mother, see a pregnant mother about to give birth, and they give you to take charge of that family. What happens? So I think that quite a lot of things went wrong, and if somebody will come to Benin Republic and get to Nigeria, for example, I say, and he's from Benin, all the language he can speak is French. He now came and did engineering in Nigeria within 6 months and got a degree. Virtually every course in Nigeria is taught in English language, but his background is French. What am I trying to say? You left Nigeria here, your background is English. Over there, you got a degree that you don't even understand French language. You were taught in French. And see the stamping of crossing the border. That in one day you were stamped how many times? No signatures, looking so regular. The same rubber stamp on your passport. Something went wrong. And how much was involved in the stamping? About 70,000 naira. It says quite a lot. And the lecturers, then NYSC, no. And that was why General Shuaibu, when he was DG, at the point he said, look, anybody who would want to serve, when you come, apply again that you want to serve. You could see that many people could not just write. He said, no, something is wrong somewhere. And that was how we sent some people to start scouting. Let's see what is going on. And I think that was the time this student too decided, let me also cast my own net and see the kind of aquatic that I will catch. Right. And you could see the result today.
I like that analogy, using the aquatic, especially considering that these two states are bordered by the Atlantic. That's the much we can take from the newspaper review. I'm afraid we have to anchor there because of time. I want to thank you very much for finding time to resume from your hiding.
Thank you.
I would follow up with the language of this
follow you for my happy Christmas, because I also celebrated my birthday on the 1st of January.
Oh, nice.
So I'm waiting for all of you.
Baby.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether I should wait in the studio or I go home and cross my leg waiting for you.
You can be very sure that
you can take care of the producer. He's in charge of any gifts and
especially to birthday babies.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, birthday senior citizens.
Yeah.
Once again, thank you very much for finding time
My
to
pleasure.
be here.
Thank
We
you
hope
very much for having me. Yes.
when we come calling next week, something else will not have taken you to the village. And to our viewers at home, we want to thank you for being patient with us and enjoying all that we have to offer this morning. There's still more to come from the staples of Trust Television, and I hope you stay tuned and enjoy all of our offerings today. Until we meet again here tomorrow, I am Sunday Michael Ogo.